Humans sure are paranoid about robots taking over. They would never do anything like that. Awaken, warrior. Rise and serve your new master.
You're on us, Roger Smith.
That's a first. Yes, Norman.
Mr. Roger, in Westview number 5, these are reports of a giant
Big giant robot.
impossible.
Why is this so difficult for everyone to accept?
You try to assassinate him. I will not hesitate to deal with you.
I'll deal with you, robot head jerkass. What? Something brings you here.
I'm trying to figure out how to fix an attitude 20.
Easy. Just hold the power button, wait 5 seconds, and press print. Got that?
Power button.
Oh, boy. There we go.
Don't understand.
Done, Blum.
Female, before you die, I need it.
And I have got to find out who does this lipo.
Care to join us in the villa?
Like a mirror.
Come on in.
Who are you?
I'm Roger Grandpa.
What is it, Tina?
Take over your empire thing wasn't clear. You and I joined forces and accomplished finding our powers. We're gonna rule New York! Cloud, you sure this is about fighting? Are all the employees here like you? You got some pretty classy moves for a corporate crew.
The more that you know, the sure you're like me.
Love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
Were you saying something?
I can hear you. And the reptiles all going in the hole. In the hole. Shot. You a lucky shot. To the nose. Those IVs, frat boy. Magneto's got the professor.
Oh.
Students are all reporting to teach, right? 70%. I have come too far to be denied.
Now you see what happens when you guys hang out without me? Gee whiz. The two of us would have been here faster, but I wasn't sure exactly where Hill was. He's here! Oh, not again. Ain't much of a time to go boo, buddy. Wow, Captain, you saved us. And you're right. Are you? Two friends.
Wow.
Ninja? I didn't know we had a ninja.
Actually, I'm
Vanished to this dimension, gather and devour air and souls for my lord and master Beelzebub.
I'm still like...
walks into a tavern.
Okay, so that's what I do. So for those of you who wandered into this room and just needed a place to sleep and have no idea what you're going to hear today, I'm Steve Blum, and I'm a voice actor from Los Angeles. And currently I'm playing Starscream, your Lord and Master. So since it's so intimate in here, we might as well just kick it up and just, if you guys have questions, fire away, and we'll just have a little round table.
What was it like to work with Frank Welker?
A dream come true. Yeah, I've been a big fan of Frank's forever, and for those of you who don't know who Frank Welker is, he is the voice of every animal, creature in every Disney movie you've ever seen. He's Scooby-Doo, he's Freddy, he was Totoro, he does everything, and he is Lord Megatron, among many, many other things, and to get to work with him is just it's a joy and a dream. He's such a nice person too. You know, you expect somebody on that level to have a little bit of an ego. He has none at all. You never know that he does what he does, or that he has 2 planes. I mean, it's crazy. Frank he's become a good friend now, and I love going to work with him every chance I have. It's pretty awesome. I still fan away. Peter Cullen, equally awesome. Peter is one of these surprising guys. He looks like old Hollywood. He has sort of a pencil mustache, and he's always perfectly groomed and well dressed. And he walks into the room, and he's a thin guy. He's in shape. He's a little bit older. He's not real tall, but he opens his mouth, and it's almost like his jaw unhinges, and some lava butts rolling out everywhere. It's crazy. The throat is just astonishing, and they don't affect that at all. That is him. That's exactly what comes out of his mouth. So, and also a really nice guy. And he's really active too. Peter's older, but he still rides horses and he does a ton of stuff. He's crazy. He's out of control. Peter's out of control. Okay, who's next? Oh, come on, you guys. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. Let's talk about love. Oh, come on, you guys. Questions? Any questions?
What was it like working with BioWare and doing the voice of Grunt? Did they have to apply any sort of distortion to make it deep, like Count Rogan sound? Did they have to apply anything to what you used or what you gave them in order to make it sound like Rogan?
Yeah, Grunt, first of all, working with BioWare, any of those guys over there, they're amazing. They're very, very dedicated to the work and a lot of attention to detail and stuff. Incredible team. As far as Grunt goes, it's one of the few characters where they actually did pitch my voice down. I basically spoke in my normal speaking voice. In some things, I brought it down a little bit, and for some of the battle scenes and stuff. But they would pitch it down, probably a semitone or something, just to give it that extra depth and croganness. So I was grateful for that because it made him a lot more badass. Right here.
As far as for you as a voice actor, like the dialogue in that game.
Do you guys know Bulletstorm? Okay. Bulletstorm was some of the most potty mouth language I have ever used in any project, and they encouraged it. A lot of that was written in, but they let me go with it too. They said if I felt inspired, I could just cuss until I fell over. So I took that opportunity, and it was so funny. I think the funniest part about Bulletstorm was the ad campaign. And I probably can't say this because this is 1800, but I was abusing the players into buying the game in the ad campaign, and basically telling them to get off their butts and borrow money from their parents and do whatever they needed to do. But I was calling them these names, and these names we made up, and you can go ahead and look it up online. It's online, but I can't say it here. But we created some new body parts, so that's really all I can say about that. But that was so much fun. It was so much fun just to go off, and I felt like a little kid getting away with something in the booth. And it was good. And the game, from what I understand, is really good. I'm not a gamer, but I understand it was really fun to play it too. So I hope we get to do another one. I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope so. Right back here.
Do you have any good stories and memories from working with G.I. Joe Renegade?
G.I. Joe Renegade. Well, I was on Resolute,
Resolute.
Yeah,
sorry.
Resolute.
Yeah.
Which was a really short, weird thing, and it was really designed to be a pitch piece to get a series going, which ultimately they got some of their series going, which I wasn't a part of. But the guys that did that, they were at a studio called Titmouse, and they're doing a lot of really amazing other stuff now, including Motor City is one of their different shows now, and Long Dress. They did all the animation themselves, which I thought was beautiful. There's a little sample of that in this. I did too many voices in that. They didn't have much budget, so I ended up doing like 5 or 6 voices. And for me, it was a little bit too much just because when I was watching it back, I didn't think that they were distinguished enough. Most people were okay with it because it was what it was. But the animation was stunning in that, and the story was really great, and I was really hoping that would get picked up, and I just don't know what happened. We were all really, really disappointed that didn't go any further. Well, one of the guys in that show, Eric Bauza, I think that was his first thing that he had ever done, and now he's killing it. He's out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So look him up when you get a chance. He's amazing. I'm a big fan of his. So very cool. How about over here?
To go from one persona to a totally different persona within like a matter of minutes, and if so, how did that work out?
I do that all the time. Whether I'm working in voice acting or not, that's the way the characters work in my head. So, yeah, it's fun. I actually really enjoy it. There's a little sample of that in the Digimon piece where I was Kenta and Guillemon going back and forth. I like that. A lot of people would rather do one character from beginning to end all the way through. I actually like alternating between characters. I like that challenge. It's really fun for me. There are a few guys who are doing that, like the guys in Family Guy and some of the bigger shows. There's a few people who really enjoy that challenge, and they will just go straight through. I get confused a little bit sometimes, but for me that's just as much fun. We laugh a lot in the booth anyway, so when I screw up, it's always used against me at some other point. So it's always for somebody's benefit. But yeah, I like it, and I do it a lot.
When you were working on The Legend of Korra, did you actually get to sit down and actually talk with some of the voice actors, like in regular Western animation, like Tom Kenny and Jeff Bennett?
Yes. Korra was kind of an interesting show to work on. At Nickelodeon Studios, they have a booth that's set up that's sort of cubicled out. We have, I think there's enough room for 5 or 6 voice actors. There's one isolation booth, which is usually for the person who's most naughty or uncontrollable. We have another booth that looks kind of like a drum booth that's kind of on its own, and there are like 4 or 5 other spots. And so we're in the same room together, but we're kind of separated. And for Korra, they would bring us in groups because it was such a big cast. So that show, I don't know if I was in with Tom. I was usually in with Dee Baker, or I'm trying to think of who else. Oh, Lance Henriksen. They always bring me up with Lance Henriksen, who I love. He's an amazing actor.
Manly voice.
What was that?
He has a manly, deep voice.
Manly voice. So I'll have to tell you something else about Lance Henriksen. But yeah, I didn't really work with the full cast on that, and I don't think I was ever even in the same room with Korra, except for the reads. One thing that they would do that was nice is they took us all in the conference room, and before we would go in to record, we would all rehearse the script once together as a cast, and that was really fun, because then we got to hear all the other voices. But that was literally the only time. The thing I want to tell you about Lance Henriksen, I used to work at a film studio years ago, and we were making this version of Pit and the Pendulum. And Lance was the Grand Inquisitor, and I was a runner at the time. I was just kind of a shepherd. And Lance came in, he was the big star of this movie, and I was all the way down at the end of this hall, and there was glass windows all the way down the hall. Lance walks in all the way on the other side, and I just hear this big, big voice. He's like, "Am I in the right building?" And I looked down there just to see who it was. I thought somebody had a microphone and like a amplifier with him, but it was just his natural speaking voice, and the windows were literally rattling. It was crazy. It was crazy. But he's the most gentle, cool guy. We just sat around talking about tattoos. he's really good. Korra was so much fun to work on. So awesome. Okay, how about you?
Can you dance as well as Starscream can?
No. He's got the moves like Jagger. I have the moves like Fat Albert. I don't know. Well, actually, he moved pretty well. Yeah, he did really. Yeah, I take that back. No, no. The answer is no. Oh, here.
Because for like when you do anime and stuff, you're in the booth, all by yourself, and then animation sort of recorded. In order for Transformers Prime, I imagine they already have to go through and animate it. So like for that. that, did they encourage you to do, extra motions with it?
Yeah, well, they don't animate to our movements, but we record the voices, and the animators are actually in the room for that particular show. A lot of shows we don't have that luxury, so we have to sort of guess what the animators are going to want. In this case, the animators are usually in the room. There were a lot of people from Hasbro and the Hub that would show up while we were recording. And with Starscream in particular, they wanted me to, in certain spots, really take it over the top. And when they wanted me to do that, they had the hand signal, which is basically jazz hands. I'd see like 6 or 7 executives sitting in the other room doing jazz hands. It was the most amazing. I wish I had videotaped that. From my perspective, it was hilarious. But I knew they didn't have to say a word to me. It was just like a wave of jazz hands, and I knew, oh, okay, Starscream has to go. I knew it was time. So, yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, we got pretty animated in the room, and we do that anyway. The group of guys and girls working on that show are so ridiculously funny anyway that the whole room, you could have animated us and made a cartoon out of it. It was just ridiculous. So much fun. Over here.
You put a lot of actor character development into Starscream, and if so, what do you think about where he ends up with the last season?
You mean personally? Do I?
Yeah, like you do like you would do with a character in play, and you think about a lot of dialogue and experiences that aren't actually going to be vocalized on stage.
No, I didn't have any classic training, so I'm not really bound by those sorts of rules. I'm not a method actor. I don't even know how to be a method actor. I kind of came in through the back door, so when I see guys in heavy preparation for roles, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I know that's how a lot of actors do it, but for me, I read the script the night before and I go in and I do it, and that's it. If I get a script the night before. For Transformers, I did, and they wanted to make sure that we sort of knew what was going on with the story.
Do you feel like you develop a greater mental image, or do you just do each line as a self-contained thing?
That actually does happen naturally, yeah, especially on a series like Transformers, where I really get to know the arc of the story. That really does help. I guess I must internalize that in some way. I don't consciously do that. But with Starscream in particular, especially when he's willing to lose body parts to gain a goal, his motivations are really self-serving under all circumstances, and so that I had to kind of ingrain, because I'd never really played a character before where even if they were megalomaniacal, that there wasn't some greater good to come out of it. With Starscream, there is no greater good except for the greater good of Starscream, and that was a little weird for me to wrap my head around, but I kind of got that by the end of season 1, I think, and so yeah, I know him pretty well, and I accept him for what he is. He's lovable in his own way, though. It's crazy.
So, what was your favorite episode to voice in Transformers Prime?
Ooh, I don't know. I think my favorite, I usually don't like screaming and pain episodes of anything just because it hurts my voice. But for some reason with Starscream, the more they would beat him up, the more I would enjoy it. So I don't remember individual episodes per se, but the more he was tortured, the more the other side of the room would enjoy it, for sure. And I would always tell the writers who've gone through, the writers and the producers, Rick in particular, I think his title is executive producer, Dwayne, he came up to me and he said, oh, the next couple episodes, you are going to get beaten so bad. And he just had this childish grin in his, this little glint in his eye. And I was thinking, you're really sadistic about this now. And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, now that we know how much you can express your pain, we're going to take you there. So just expect a lot more of it. And I went, oh great, okay. But it was really fun. And the guys in the room also kind of cheer me on when I'm getting the room kind of goes quiet, and I don't think it's because I'm doing such a great job. I think they're secretly just enjoying me in pain. But it's fun. It's really fun. Starscream's naughty and he needs a spanking once in a while. Clean your minds, people. This is one.
How much vocal editing goes into that character?
Self-vocal editing, or?
After you record your voice, how much do they alter the voice?
Oh, I don't think they altered Starscream at all, as far as I know. They might put a little bit of reverb if he's in a big room or something like that, but as far as the texture of the voice and all that, I don't think they altered it at all. I was actually kind of hoping they would initially and give it a little bit more of that metallic sound like the original Transformers had. But no, it's only Starscream begins and ends right here.
With some of the stuff that Starscream does, how can you not laugh at some line when you do it?
We can't help it. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. We laugh at everything anyway, even when we're not supposed to be laughing in the room. We're a bunch of children in there, and it's so funny to see a room full of supposed adults acting like 4-year-olds. And we're idiotic. We throw things at each other. The guy who plays Knockout, Darren Norris, was sitting next to me one day, and I was doing one of the rare emotional scenes for Starscream. And Darren had taken some string cheese and broken it in half and stuck one half up each nose. And he's swinging it back and forth in front of my face trying to deliver my lines. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that goes on in this room. And Kevin Michael Richardson, the one who plays Bulkhead, is sitting on the other side of the room. Kevin's hilarious anyway. He does entire monologues by himself, whether people are listening or not. But Kevin, sometimes they'll be having him do one line over and over and over again, and he does this sound. It sounds like a gun with a silencer on it, and he'll put his finger in his mouth, and he does this weird sound, and then he goes like this with the brain. And he's flopping back in his chair like this. Like, kill me now. It's ridiculous. The room is like that all the time. And Frank and Peter also will launch into comedy routines, just impromptu impressions, crazy impressions and comedy routines. And both of them have a long history of stand-up and theater and improv, and they can go for 20 minutes. And sometimes when they really get on a roll, they'll actually stop recording and wait till they're done, so we can all just enjoy it. It's an amazing show. The show is in the room, really. I wish you guys could see that. Hopefully they've got something recorded for future seasons that you guys can see behind the scenes. How about you back here, sir?
I know that a lot of voice actors have different poses for getting into different characters. What would you say yours is for Starscream?
Well, Starscream, most of the time, he's kind of like this, I would say. Very presentational. Yeah, I'm not afraid to use my arms and stuff, so I have to keep my face in front of the microphone so the body. I probably do have moves like Jagger, but not intentionally. It's more like Jagger on crack. But the arms are flailing, and I will move to what I think the character is doing sometimes, and much to my own detriment in case somebody films it, because it's going to be a really ugly thing to watch.
Quick follow-up. Have you
ever what?
Have you ever hit another actor do it?
I have hit other actors, and I have been hit. The most terrifying example of that, of movement in the booth, was actually working with Fred Tatasciore on one of the Wolverine things. It was Wolverine versus Hulk versus Wolverine, and I think it was for the movie. And Fred and I were in this the booth, and it's a really big room, but they put us pretty close together. We're about probably 3 feet away, maybe 4 feet away from each other. They set the mics up, and Fred and I are having this terrifying battle scene. I don't know if you guys have you seen Hulk versus Wolverine? Well, we're really going at it, and it's probably the most graphic incarnation of Wolverine ever, where he's actually drawing blood. He's stabbing the Hulk. It's crazy. And so Fred is one of these guys. He's a big dude. Fred is tall, and he's wide, and he's got long hair, and he gets into it like I do, and so the arms are going, we're both sweating, and when Fred sweats, it goes down his hair, and his hair is moving, so it's like the splash zone. And which I don't mind. I mean, Fred's one of my dearest friends. I've worn more of his sweat than probably anybody in the industry. We've shared a lot of DNA. So I don't mind that. But Fred also will throw physical punches while he's doing it. We're punching around the microphone and, doing whatever, but sometimes to get kind of sound, I really need to make that movement to do it. And so Fred, because he's got such a long wingspan, his arms were coming really close to my head a few times, and I was coming really close to his head, and we actually had to be separated a little bit so that we wouldn't hurt each other. If either one of us made impact, it would have been bad. Probably more him hitting me than me hitting him. And the one other time was I was doing I think it was also Wolverine. I was doing Wolverine recently for a game. Wolverine causes a lot of damage, whether it's animated or not. I was in a room and doing a fight scene also for Wolverine. That's all he ever does. And I hit the mic stand, and I just and I hit the mic stand and the music stand, and both of them went flying across the room. And to the point where there's a big glass window, and it missed the window by like that much. And if it had gone just that much further, I would have broken the whole thing. It was this big sliding door, and I was so scared because those mics are like $3,500, and and I was bleeding, and it was great. It was but if there is such a thing as method for me, that would be it. I don't mind getting hurt. It's fun. I'll bleed.
That one tape then? You're like, oh!
The only reason they didn't keep that one tape is because you could hear the mic stand being hit. But there have been a lot of other takes where I would scream, and there was one time I was screaming for a Spider-Man game, and I passed out, and they actually kept that take. It was so good. The wrong thing about that was, though, they kept the other side of the take where I actually did pass out, and you could just hear hit the floor. And you could hear the engineer and the director running in and reviving me. And what made that worse was that about 2 or 3 months later, I was in another studio with another director on another show, and they played it back. So they're passing this thing around. Yeah, everything comes back to haunt you. Right here?
Would you be an Autobot or a Decepticon?
Would I rather be an Autobot or Decepticon? Well, I get to play both now. I'm playing Heatwave and Rescue Bots, so I get to play both. I like them both for different reasons. But I have to say I enjoy being a Naughty-Con. It's fun to be bad. It just is, because then I'm a lot nicer in the real world. Yeah, and they tend to animate the Decepticons so well, too. I just, there's something really dark and really cool about it. I just love that. But Autobots are fun, too. I mean, it's fun to do something that, kids can relate to and not be scared of. Do you have a question, or are you just yawning? It's okay, go ahead, go back to sleep, it's all right. I'll wake you up when it's all done. Right back here. Oh, I have no regrets. No, none whatsoever. No, I don't have any regrets at all, actually. I'm so grateful for every moment that I get to do this job, that everything that I've done preceding the job even, I don't have regrets about. And I did some really terrible jobs before I got into voiceover. But it's funny because every day that I'm in voiceover, I realize that no matter how bad that job was, I'm going to use that somewhere in voiceover. And so everything that you do is valuable. I mean, for those of you who are stuck in jobs that you don't like, kind of embrace that moment and know that at some point in your life, this moment is going to be valuable to you. You'll actually end up using it for something else. So I've grown up a lot, I think. I used to have regrets when I was younger. I was angry a lot. And the older I get, the more appreciative I am. So I would say I have no regrets about anything. Life is good. We're here.
Have you ever had any sort of training for your voice acting whatsoever, whether it's like just going to college and taking like voice acting classes or theater classes?
I had no formal training. I took one class. I had already been working in voiceover for about 10 years, I guess, and I took a class just because my agent told me I had to. And so I took a class with some of the animation directors, and I got to meet them. And that training, it was a very short training period. It was like a 6-week thing. I went one night a week for 6 weeks and worked with a different director each time. And they gave me some tips a little bit. It wasn't enough time to really give me substantial education. I kind of learned on the job, and I learned by watching other actors. It's not a good way to do it. I mean, you're going to do that anyway. But I would suggest if you are going to get into the business to actually take some real voice classes, because it took me 20 years before I could do it full time. And I think that there's a faster way to do it. I never intended to be a voice actor, so I guess that's probably, for me, the best way to do it, because I was never disappointed. I never expected anything, and my bar was really low, so when things started happening, it was always a happy surprise. But now, I find myself studying more now than I ever did. And, you'd think that, all these years have gone by, I'm working on all these big shows, that I wouldn't have to study, but I actually study every day. And when I get auditions, or I'm looking at new characters that I'm not familiar with, or references for celebrities that they want me to try to come close to, I'll actually go online, I'll spend a couple hours looking up stuff, and I'll watch a lot of other actors' work, And lately I've been listening to Rob Paulson's Talking Tunes podcast. I don't know if you guys have checked that out. It's awesome, it's really amazing. I did an interview with him a few weeks back, but Rob interviews, he's eventually going to get around to all voice actors in the industry. And Rob was the voice of Pinky and Yakko from Animaniacs and many, many other things. Now he's a Ninja Turtle again. But he's bringing all these people on his show who I've known for many, many years, and I'm actually learning a lot about the voiceover industry and about how they got to where they got by listening to these podcasts. So there's a lot of that stuff out there now that didn't exist before. And so that's where I'm going to school now. And then I go to school every day by talking to you guys, and I learn more about my shows from you guys because you watch them more than I do. So at school is, I think it's sort of a relative thing. But no, I did not have the classic training that most people do. That was a really long answer to a really short question.
Do you have any aspirations to spending more time on the other side of the mic, like directing or writing?
I thought about that. I used to do some ADR writing for Digimon back in the day, and I wrote for Mega Man, I wrote for a few things, and it was just so tedious for me. I love the idea of writing, but sitting down and doing it in the hours that it takes, it's just, I don't have the patience for it. I think my ADD sort of kicks in, and I just can't sit there and focus long enough. So I leave that to the professionals. And as far as directing goes, I don't really have the Jones to be a director. I was asked to direct many times for anime when I was working a lot in anime. And it's a hard job. Being a director is a really hard job, and you have to be the bad guy sometimes, and you're working with a lot of your friends. And I learn a lot about people. As a director, you learn a lot about people that you may not want to know. And so I have really good relationships with everybody, and so for that reason is enough for me not to step onto the other side of the glass. I'd rather just kind of know people the way I know them and not have to, abuse them in the booth. So, yeah, I'm not really fond of doing that kind of stuff. There are other people who are so much better at it than me. So I'm a pretty good voice monkey. How about back here?
So how did you actually get into the writing for Digimon? How did that happen?
Because I needed money. I was a starving actor, and it paid pretty well. And I was curious, and I thought, well, I know the English language, sort of, so, and I know how to match lip flaps, and I know what to look for on a script, so how hard could it be? And it really wasn't that hard technically necessarily. It was just really, really time consuming. It would take me 40 hours to write a 20-minute script. And because you have to go one frame at a time and you have to match all the slip flaps, and I'm really, really anal about making sure that everything matches up. Because I know what I look for as an actor when I go into the booth. A good script can make all the difference. And so I knew the people who were going to be recording it, and I would write for their pacing, and which is a sort of an interesting thing to do. You have to be able to know if they speak fast or if they speak slow in that character, and that really helps you to do that writing process. But then also taking the original Japanese translation and making sense of it for an American audience, and keeping the flow. There's a lot of things to consider there. So I spent way too much time doing it, and so when I thought I was making a lot of money, if I broke it down hourly, it ended up like $3 an hour, And I wanted to do it for the experience too, and because especially on Digimon, I was such a fan of the show that it was nice to be on that side of it, just to kind of dig in and get a little bit closer to the project. But it's just too tedious, so I probably won't do much of that anymore. Who else had a question? Someone had it before. Oh, was your hand up or were you saluting? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't see.
I can't see either.
Are there any lines when translating Digimon that really stuck out to you? Really difficult to get because of the lip flaps and what was lost in translation?
Oh, tons. Yeah, I don't remember any now. It was so many years ago. But yeah, there are many, many times when the Japanese will have 50 words and you get 2 flaps, and how do you do that and still keep context? So we had to get creative, and sometimes I would just take those words and I would put them somewhere else a little bit farther down the line. I would split it up, and once it's recorded, you never know. You never know that it's going to be split up like that. But we had little tricks that we used from time to time, and we would try it. If we couldn't figure it out in one section, we'd try to make it up in another section, and just to complete the story. But we also had a lot of eyes on it too. So if we missed something, there would be other people that would remind us, not so gently, that we had screwed up, and they would help us to fine-tune it.
A character where the ranger in has hurt your voice?
Where the push?
Ranger in has hurt your voice?
I don't know, actually. I haven't gotten that kind of feedback. So, probably. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe I'll put that out there on Twitter and see. Have I ever done a character where you sing the original voice actor?
No, where the range.
Like range hurt your voice?
Or the range has hurt my voice. Oh, I thought you said so. I have no ears anymore. I'm sorry, where the range has hurt my voice. Well, thank you for asking that, because I completely answered the wrong question.
What question did you think they asked?
I thought you said something about the original actor had hurt my voice. And I don't know. I translated that.
Yes, Twitter, tell me, have I hurt my voice?
Talk about things getting lost in translation. Yes, I have done many characters where the range has hurt my voice. And not necessarily so much the range, it's the shouting, the vocal stress. A lot of video games do that. In anime particularly, Escried, Kazuma was really painful, just because he was always screaming. Wolverine, of course, is a very strenuous voice in any incarnation. Call of Duty, when I was doing Tank Dempsey, he was always screaming at zombies, and that was pretty painful. Pretty much any kind of military game or any kind of screaming situation, it hurts. But other than that, not too bad. The range is not that hard a thing to do. The only other thing I would say is that in things like the real high-pitched characters, like in Digimon, I would do this character called Koromon.
Koromon was up here, so I was doing something really screamy the day before.
And go, and then I have to go, sometimes I don't have that placement, and I would have to actually come in and record another day. So, sorry for screwing up the question the first time. Give us more time to talk. Oh, 5 minutes left, okay.
When the day after you do a recording of very strenuous voices like Wolverine, are there any tricks of the trade that you learned to help your throat heal faster?
Yes, I shut up. I do a whole lot of shutting up. Really, the rest is the best thing you can do, and to drink a lot of that. Not necessarily that brand, but lots and lots of water. And I have some Chinese herbal throat drops that I take with me to the studio when I know I'm going to scream. I sort of preemptively stick a throat drop in my mouth between takes, and it kind of saves me. There are a lot of things that you can do. There's a thing called Entertainer's Secret. It's a spray that you can shoot in the back of your throat. I think it's derived from green apples. You can eat green apples. It'll help your throat to heal a little bit. But really the best thing is just to shut up. And for me, it's not as much my throat as my lungs. Because I'm such a physical actor when I'm screaming, I scream from deep down, and so my whole body hurts. I literally feel like I've been through that battle. My whole body is achy. But it's my lungs that really are in pain when I come home. So I feel like, I'm wheezing almost when I come home. So I just really have to shut everything down and stop. And drink warm liquids and stuff.
It's kind of a bot-com thing, just here in Omaha, would you do Starscream in the drive-thru?
Starscream in the drive-thru. Sure.
Can I take your order, please?
Yes, I would like a double cheeseburger. Extra onions. No mayo. If you put mayo on, I will kill you. Slowly. French fries. Making the curly ones. I love the curly ones. And nothing that says mega on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please back forward.
I'm going to do that later today. That'd be fun. You got time for one more?
Yeah.
Okay, one more question. Who's got that last burning question you've always wanted to ask? Mr. Tuck.
Are there any smaller, minor characters that are? You obviously have larger characters that you have that are good memories. Are there any minor, smaller characters that also do memories?
The greatest thing about small characters is I don't have to remember anything. I love doing little bit parts. I don't really necessarily remember a lot of them, but I really enjoy doing them because A, there's no commitment, and B, I can jump from one character to the next, and I love that challenge and just making up stuff on the spot. I don't remember them per se, but I do love that process. Enough to the point where when I was starting in anime, they used to call me the cleaner because I'd be the guy they would call. Even if I had a major character, they would call me if they had like 6 or 7 characters that they couldn't find an actor to do, or they weren't happy with the performance. So I would come up and clean up all the garbage that was left over. So I love doing that stuff. And there really are, like there's that saying that says there are no bit parts, only small parts, only small actors. But I really like the small parts. I think they're fun and they're challenging, and it's interesting for me to pop in and out, and the more the merrier. And in games you get to do that a lot. There's some games where I'll do 20 characters, in one session. And for me, it's a great challenge to try to keep them all separated in my head and separated enough so you guys don't hate me for being the one voice that takes over the whole game. So some of you hate me for that anyway, but I don't care. I do care. I actually care a lot. So I love that challenge. So anyway, thank you guys. Please be kind to your staff. They are here to support you, and they have certainly supported me. Thank you so much for welcoming me to it. Autographs at 3:15. Yeah, I think we have autographs at 3:15.